Tonight, Target 8 investigates hospital transparency. If your child is sick, hospitals might have a policy on treatment, a policy you probably don't know about. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jem Reek.
And I'm Brittany Pieper. That's because right now we've learned hospitals don't have to tell you their treatment policies, but there is an effort to make that a requirement. Target 8 Chief Investigator Jamie Gray is here with the team's latest project. So Jamie, tell us, where do Missouri hospitals stand on this issue?
In this case, we're specifically talking about futility policies, policies for treating people whose cases are deemed futile or incurable. Earlier at 6 o'clock, we showed you our findings that Missouri hospitals don't have to tell you their futility policies, and some don't even have them. One mother shared her story about losing her son, later finding out doctors limited his care under a futility policy she knew nothing about. Now, KOMU8's Morgan Young is here with that mother's push for more transparency from hospitals and how those efforts are going.
Well, Jamie, House Bill 1915, or Simon's Law, proposes restrictions on what decisions medical personnel can make regarding end-of-life care for your kids. But it has not had much luck in the Missouri legislature. I spoke with supporters of the bill, as well as the chair of the committee that heard the bill, who says it's not a good idea.
That is your child. That is not their child. If you want your child to be fed, nobody else's opinion should matter.
Missouri House Bill 1915, or Simon's Law, has one goal: to give parents more power over their children's futile medical cases. The proposed legislation would require hospitals to have parental consent before issuing a do not resuscitate order or withholding nutrients and care in futile cases with minor patients. It would also require hospitals to disclose their futility policies if asked by a patient or a prospective patient.
Simon's Law is not telling a hospital that they can have one or they can't have one, just disclose it so that that family then can make a reasonable decision or a knowledgeable decision to move elsewhere if needed.
Crozier worked with Representative Bill Kidd from Independence to sponsor the bill, but it has not had much luck in the Missouri legislature. Simon's Law was heard by a House committee back in February, and there are 27 pages of testimony from the hearing. 9 of the witnesses are in support of Simon's Law, and 5 are in opposition. Now, these supporting groups are families who have been affected by futility policies, family policy groups, as well as pro-life organizations. But on that opposing side, all 5 witnesses were representatives from hospitals. Simon's Law supporters say parents should have the right to decide what decisions are made concerning their children's care. The medical personnel who oppose the bill say it will negatively affect how physicians communicate with parents about their children's futile cases, and that they do not want to put over-emotional parents in a position to make the decision. The bill still has not been voted on, and Crozier attributes this to Dr. Keith Fredericks, who is an orthopedic surgeon and the chairman of the Committee on Health and Mental Health Policy that heard Simon's Law. Simon's Law supporters held an event in Frederick's hometown of Rolla to discuss the bill, but he chose not to come, saying the event was misinforming the public.
To believe that doctors are just like not telling the patient's parents and pulling the plug, you would have to believe that physicians have malintent and ill will.
And when I asked Fredericks about his thoughts on the families who have fallen victim to these futility policies, he says he has compassion for the situation, but
on the other hand, we can't change public policy and subject infants and parents to what would be a much more difficult process for them simply to assuage the angst that these folks have felt.
Although Simon's Law has not gone very far in Missouri, it passed through the Senate in Kansas and is making its way to the House. There was no opposition at that Senate hearing, but Dr. Fredericks says he suspects that will change.
I would expect that the medical community will engage in the process now and probably will present some of the same concerns.
Crozier says she is excited and hopeful about the progress Simon's Law is making in Kansas, as well as the support she has received from other medical personnel for the bill. But for now, hospitals in Missouri still have the final say, and Simon's Law supporters are trying to change that.
I'm an EMT. I'm a first responder. I've been a firefighter for 6 years. And they use that as a cop-out, that the parents are too emotional, that they don't understand. What we want is what's best for our child. You don't know what we know.
There are only a couple weeks left in the legislative session, and Representative Kidd and Cheryl Crozier say they're not so sure it's going to pass this time around. Kidd says he does hope to get reelected and have that bill assigned to a new committee. For a full copy of the testimony from the hearing in February, you can head to our website, KOMU.com.